What's up, fellas? Happy Tuesday. Chuck Silver and Nick Marro here with Occupy Fantasy to bring you the strategy for DraftKings and FanDuel. We got a little four-gamer, two games start at 7:30 Eastern, two games start at 10:30 Eastern. So I think it's a pretty great slate. We already got a lot of the news we're waiting on, and watch out for those like out tags we're getting for tomorrow because most of them are not relevant to today. But Nick, how we doing? How we feeling about the slate?
Yeah, good man, good. I usually don't like the smaller slates, but I've actually been more successful with them lately, so I'm not going to complain. Yeah, four gamer looks pretty good to me. A lot of news that we already have, enough to pay up for that we're not really scraping to figure out where to spend salary. So yeah, good slate overall. I like it.
So one thing I want to mention that I don't think I've talked about enough on some short slates that we've had recently is because one of the main things I'm trying to do, tweaking my process right now, is diversifying my exposures. You know, just spreading
Yeah,
my guys out and not just the percentages, but making sure I don't have like today. Amon Thompson's probably my favorite play of the day, and let's say I like Anthony Davis a lot, and I get like 50 Amon, 30 Davis, something like that. Um, if I'm not careful, I'm going to end up with most of those Davis lineups have Amon Thompson, and so it's basically my whole day depends on those two players. So
yeah.
the point is, on short slates, I really think you want to actually tighten up your exposures. Not necessarily. It's all relative. The point is, I don't think you want to spread it out. I think you want to take some stands and just try to get that part right.
Yeah, I mean, if you believe in a player, you believe in a play. It's even more important to kind of take that stand on a short slate because by default, like all the good plays are going to be at least 20% owned. So to like really take a stand, we talked about it with Keaton Wallace in Discord yesterday. The stand was to go 100%.
Yeah.
There was really no other stand to make if you liked him as a play. So I'm with you, man. And yeah, our styles differ a bit. I play more kind of single entry. I'm only playing like five or so lineups per night. But I'm still trying to balance exposures. Like my favorite payups are probably Giannis, and I really like Maxi tonight. But yeah, I don't want my night to just be those two in most lineups. Obviously, that would be kind of tough if it didn't work out.
Let me ask you a quick question. So let's say you're making five lineups tonight.
Mhm.
Who's your favorite play of the night tonight overall?
Overall, I mean, let's see here. I mean, I do really like Collier. I think he's pretty safe to kind of 6, 7x his salary. Um, Given ownerships though, oh man, it's tough
Give me a
because like
pay up. Give me a pay
I,
up.
I I really do like Giannis. I don't see
Okay.
how to get away.
So Collier and Giannis, your favorite value, your favorite pay up. How many of those five lineups are each of those guys going to be in?
Collier probably like 4 out of 5 because he's the value, and I always
Hmm.
say I'm more comfortable eating chalk
Yep.
value. Giannis probably in like 3 of 5, and again that's because today's slate we do actually have AD, LeBron, Tyrese to pay up for. If it was another slate where there was no like guy north of 11K or anything else to compare it to, it could be different. But yeah, today I'd say 3 Giannis, maybe 4 Collier.
I like that. And the thing I was trying to get out of that is even with only five lineups on a short slate, I don't think you ever really want to go 100% of a player. Like if Collier is your favorite value, play him in four of them. And just
Yeah,
because then your whole night does depend on him not having a terrible game.
Yeah, there are exceptions. Like we're gonna see
Yeah.
guys on some of these slates that are like 90% owned and they should be. Like, I don't know. Like
Like Keaton
if Jan
yesterday.
yeah, like Keaton yesterday, like that was just such an obvious play. Like I would 5 of 5 of him. And even if he
Yeah.
fails, like you're not really hurting yourself because so much of the field's right there with you.
Nice. So yeah, that we had a little, well, knowing me, we probably don't, but I thought we had a little extra time. So I wanted
No, I
to
like it.
talk about
That's
that a
good
little
stuff to
bit.
talk about, man. Yeah, for sure.
Jose, which of the cheap values the hardest to get away from? I don't want to answer that now because we'll probably have a different answer after we talk through it. So we'll get to that. And
Yep.
then Mr. Golf and More. I haven't noticed your name before, but here almost every NBA slate you watch on your commute home, still in the office. We always set you up well before you finalize your single entry build. I love to hear that. And one of our first super chats of the season, guys. I didn't. Did you know you could super chat? You could super chat us, and we'll definitely make sure to talk about it. But appreciate you, Mister
Yeah.
Golf and More. What are the best Charlotte plays with so many of them out?
He
So
followed
Charlotte
up.
plays tomorrow. Yeah, all of
Yeah,
these.
he realized, I think.
We're
Yeah.
getting so many these stupid notifications for tomorrow's slate, and so who's on the show tomorrow? What's today's date? I'm on the show with Smitty tomorrow. You don't have to super chat us again. I'll remember your comment, and we'll talk about the best Charlotte plays to start out the show tomorrow.
Yeah. They're gonna matter big tomorrow. Not today though.
Savage Styles, yeah, let's smack this small slate for big money. I think we've all been kind of on a roll. We've had a pretty good screenshot streak in the Discord. Some of our tournament plays are hidden, and we're doing pretty well as a community.
Yeah, I was cold for a few weeks. I haven't had any huge takedowns lately, but most slates I'm like top 20 in most of my contests. So we're right there. We're about to hit it. And Smitty, I will say, has been consistently taking contests down. So that's going well too.
That's the important thing. Like I've had, I think, 3 good top tens in the last week, but it's like, what's the
Yeah,
difference between 7th place and 1st place other than the money? It's variance. Like, okay, their
it's
guy
luck.
hit
Yeah.
2 more threes, and my guy, had 2 more turnovers. And so we're doing things right. As long as you're putting lineups in the top percent of the contest, then that's all you can
Oh
hope
yeah,
for.
totally agree.
Jerry Tanner, appreciate that.
Appreciate it, Jerry.
What's up, Big J Grams, Mr. Torian, Steph Wiggins, or Maxi Yabu? Did we get confirmation on Yabu's status tonight?
I think he's probable.
Okay.
So I assume he plays. I love Maxi tonight. Yabu's pretty inconsistent. Steph Wiggins combo doesn't sound too bad. I don't know. I lean Maxi Yabu, but I think there's probably better 6K plays than Yabu, if we're being honest.
I'm kind of just looking at the top overall plays. Kind of insane to see Almond Thompson number 3 behind Giannis and AD. That's my favorite play of the day. But
Oh,
I just like look at the positions at the top. We got power forward, center. We have Almond with point guard eligibility, center, power forward, and then these guys are all ranked higher than the point guards. And so a lot of days I talk about paying up twice for point guard, but maybe today we get one of these pay ups up here and one of these expensive point guards in this range. Even though we have some players that are like Jalen Green and Dyson Daniels are both ranked ahead of like Steph and Tyrese Maxey. And remember, OF index isn't price sensitive, so that's pretty significant to note.
yeah, honestly, I'm a little bit surprised to see Maxi's not even higher with both George and
Yeah.
Embiid out. Lakers obviously pretty good team defensively, but I don't know. I'm not afraid of the matchup, so maybe that's a spot I disagree with the model a bit. But yeah, I'm not going to fault anyone for getting to a lot of Thompson. He's one of the best plays on the slate.
Well, let's talk about this game. It's the first game on the slate. They are playing the Lakers. We have a 4-point spread. I can't believe we're only 4-point favorites. Low total, 219. It's not terrible. But yeah, Tyrese Maxey, 11.1 OF index. I was on the fade train at first. Now, on today's slate, I don't mind it. The ownership seems fine. Maxey, and what other spots are you looking at here? Justin Edwards with 30%.
Yeah, I mean, if we're scraping for value, I do think Edwards makes some sense. I don't know. Ricky Council as well looks good. His prices come up though. I do trust Edwards more than Council, even coming off the bench for what it's worth. We do want to keep in mind in this backcourt that Kyle Lowry's back and available now. Is he necessarily going to cut into the minutes of some of these young guys? Probably slash hopefully not. But it is at least notable. But yeah, I love Maxey here. He's been seeing massive usage even with Paul George on the floor. 2 of his last 3 games pushing 33%, which is obviously a great thing to see. Oubre absolutely smashing as well. I mean, kind of scoring dependent. He does have a floor in his range of outcomes, but I think he's underpriced. And last I checked, he wasn't too popular compared to where I thought he should be. FanDuel, 7,200, 12%. I mean, you're kind of paying up to get different, but I do like him on both sides as well. But if I'm saying who I trust, it's those two. And yeah, I do like Edwards off the bench, but I don't know. It's not my favorite value play now that we got some value opening up elsewhere, Utah, a few of these other spots as well.
So we've seen this a few times recently. Justin Edwards, we have projected for 29 minutes. He's one of the chalk values. Single digit value is awful. Like this looks
Yeah.
terrible. The model's been really good at telling us which chalk to fade. And today the model's telling us that we can just fade Justin Edwards. But I do want to point out after Paul George left in the previous game, it was the last game, right? They haven't played since the 25th.
No, yep,
Is that
that
right?
was the last game.
In the second half, Justin Edwards started, played 7 minutes, and then he played the whole fourth quarter after that. So he got 19 second half minutes. I don't think we're ever going to translate to like 38 minutes for the full game, but
No.
I don't know. Low 30s minutes, I think, is pretty within his range of outcomes. And then Eric Gordon played 29 minutes in that starting lineup too. Kelly Oubre, 37. Tyrese Maxey, 43. And so I don't think we can project him for more than 39 and a half. But I mean, if you gave him an extra 2 minutes, he's going to look even better today.
Yeah, I think that's part of what's holding him back in the model. Like, we can't, in good faith, be projecting a guy over 40 minutes unless Tom Thibodeau's his coach. But yeah, I do think Maxi's someone who could get over that mark, and a few extra minutes for him, given his point per minute rate, he would definitely climb up in terms of rankings. But yeah, I do like the Gordon shout as like a way to get a little bit different. We know he's going to be on the floor shooting the ball. Yeah, all these guys are cheap, but do we want to lock up all these spots at 7:30? I'm not sure. So yeah, I trust Maxi. I trust Oubre. I'm fine mixing in the rest.
Yabusele, we have projected for 32 minutes. He picked up his third foul. So he picked up two quick fouls early in the second quarter, came back in for like 12 seconds, picked up his third foul. And so he lost almost a full rotation in the first half. He played 29 minutes. I think that we can still project him for this 32 pretty comfortably. Again, the model is not into it for value. So the model's saying we can kind of fade him, but I think the ownership's okay. The price is up.
Yeah, the price is up. That's the issue. And again, I mean, say what you will about your Lakers. I mean, it's not the best matchup for Yabusele as a
No,
center. It's kind of a weird
no.
spot. So yeah, I don't hate him, but it's definitely not a core player or anything like that for me.
I'll just mention Kyle Lowry and Reggie Jackson both played exactly 15.4 minutes, and they played alongside of each other. Kind of weird in the previous game. We haven't projected for around there. Are you considering either of them or Adam Bona as a deep shot punts?
Honestly, Bono would be the one I would consider over
I
either
think
of the
so.
guards. Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, I just a better point per minute producer. Even if Lowry was going to get 30 minutes, I don't think I trust him necessarily. Same with Jackson. He did get a spot start a few games back, was absolutely terrible. Yeah, so I'm a little bit bitter, sour taste in my mouth. But Bono, what we've seen from him has been solid. The Lakers, I mean, their bench depth, they do have some guys that they're going to give minutes to, and like Jackson Hayes, etc. They do need size here, and if you look at the bench, the only guy with any size other than maybe Pete Nance is Bona. And yeah, I have no interest in playing Pete Nance, so I don't mind Bona as a value play, especially if he's going to be low owned.
Yabu is an easy fade from Jose. I mean, he's pretty low owned, so I don't think. I mean, it's not hard not to play him. I agree with you there. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and then last guy, since we talked about every other player, and this guy's pulling ownership, Ricky Council. Again, this is an awesome DK value, 12.2. Not on the first page, but he is there pulling a little bit of ownership, and I got a few percent in my builds.
Yeah, he's streaky, it seems. He could get hot. We've seen him spike in upside. I don't hate him, but at the same time, again, the price increase is enough for me to be pretty comfortable just kind of matching the field. And again, I'm only playing a handful of lineups. I might have him in like one, but I don't know. Ricky Council's not going to make or break my night either way.
Assuming Justin Edwards starts, I'm thinking Ricky Council is going to be the pivot. But if you want to play like that cheap value, you could probably just play Justin Edwards in that case.
I This is an interesting talking point because I've actually seen Council projected to start more than one place, and like I
Okay.
said, I still like Edwards better off the bench.
Let me see.
I don't know what they're gonna do though. It's tough to say. It's Nick Nurse.
I have both of their minutes basically exactly the same.
Yeah.
So it's tough. I don't know. We'll get that news before the show ends, but we do have our Discord live with Jayhawk today. No, Smitty today. So he'll get you guys right for that.
Yep.
Other side of this game, the Lakers. Everyone's in. Rui was probable.
Yep.
I mean, we're just gonna assume everyone plays because they're all probable. But
Vincent's still out. Not that that matters.
okay, yeah, Gabe Vincent's out. I don't know who else is out. That's the only one that matters. But AD, LeBron both look good. I think their ownerships are pretty reasonable at the prices. In the mid range, we have Austin Reeves, and for value, I don't know if we have value here, but what do you think?
I mean, Rui got a rest day yesterday. It is a back to
Mm-hmm.
back. I mean, him starting at 4,600 on DK, I actually do have some interest in that. I feel a little bit better about him than I do, say, Ricky Council on the other side of this one. AD had like the quarter of all quarters last night, first quarter. What did he have? 21 points, 11 boards, something ridiculous. Yeah, definitely a great upside play. Keep an eye on ownership. But if he's going to be much lower owned than, say, Giannis, who I already mentioned I really like, very comfortable pivoting. Obviously, more often than not, I do think Giannis outscores him, but we got to kind of zig where the field zags. Right now, the ownership gap isn't wide enough, really, for me to get there too aggressively, but I do think he's a good tournament play for sure. And then LeBron as well. I mean, you're getting a little bit of discount off the other top plays on the slate. I have no issues going to him.
DFS started. He played about the minutes we had projected, right around 24. Rui's back, so maybe he doesn't start. But if he ends up starting again, maybe people don't get there. 37, 3,800, even off the bench at the 1 and 4%. I think this is a spot we can mix in today.
Yeah. Wait, you're saying Finney Smith?
Yeah, Finney Smith.
I don't want to mix in Finney Smith personally. I mean, I get it at the price. Like, it's a 4 game slate. I think anything sub 4K that's going to play those minutes gives you some interest. But I don't know. On the Nets, he was like kind of the third option on offense most of the time. I think we're still kind of seeing his rates not fully adjusted for this new role. So I'm really just not really getting to any. I have no interest. But again, I'm not playing 150. If I was, maybe I'd see a few percent in there. But I just don't like him in this role, really.
I have about 5% on DraftKings and 2% on FanDuel right now, Finney Smith. So not a guy we're like playing a lot of. If you're playing 5 lineups, you can just ignore him.
Yeah.
But he is there, single digit DK value model saying he's a fade. But if he starts, he's there on a 4 gamer. And then Max Christie and Dalton Connect. It's tough. Max Christie, I don't know if he starts with what's the starting lineup tonight? Is it these 5 actually?
He's going to start, I think. He's been starting, and yeah, I mean, he came out. He had a really good first half, kind of like KD last night. Played 39 minutes and did nothing in the second half, even though he was on the floor. I don't know. I'm just not crazy about him. Again, it's just tough to find usage when you're on the floor with Reeves, James, and Davis a lot of the time. I'd rather get Rui for 400 more on DK, and I really just don't love either that much over on FanDuel.
So I guess I like Christie a lot more than I like a DFS. I have
Yeah.
17% Christie on DraftKings, well over the field, and FanDuel right now I have 30% of Christie. So this might be a value spot that I really like. I doubt I go into lock with 30%, but I think directionally I will be over on him on both sides, Max Christie.
Yeah, I like him more for sure than DFS. I'll say that much. But yeah, he fills a pretty thin spot. I'm surprised you have that much on FanDuel where he's shooting guard only. But again, I think as far as the 4K plays go, his minutes are safer than most.
Well, I thought shooting guard was by far the hardest position to fill today. I mean, my highest exposed shooting guards on FanDuel right now: Max Christie, Eric Gordon, Buddy Hield, Amon Thompson, Ricky Council, Vic Krejci, Jalen Green. Like, I don't really want a lot of any of these guys. Tumani Kamara's down here. Kelly Oubre has shooting guard eligibility, but he's expensive. Dylan Brooks, hit 100 threes yesterday, but he's Dylan Brooks.
Yeah, I think the difference for me is I trust Fee maybe more than I should over on FanDuel. He's a little bit cheaper. Thompson, you could use, like you mentioned, one of the best plays on the slate. I really like Oubre as well. But yeah, I think the difference for me, probably why I'm not getting as much, is probably that I do think Fee's a pretty strong play over there.
Okay. We'll get to Svi when we go to Utah. Let's
Yeah.
go to this next game, Houston. I've been talking about Amon Thompson every day, dude. He came in like 5% owned yesterday and blew my mind. Even today, it's 4 games. He's expensive, but 35 and 34% actually seems kind of low. I'm over the field on this. Projected for 41 minutes, 5-point spread, decent total against Atlanta. I love Amon Thompson today.
Yeah, I keep talking about how much I like Maxi, but point per dollar, Thompson's the better play. I like Thompson a lot here. Great matchup for him. I mean, he does everything. He's always on the floor. He's playing as many minutes as anyone. They're still thin in the front court, which has kind of helped his rebounding a little bit. But yeah, he's taking usage from Van Fleet and others, and it's been awesome. Really talented kid. Hit the game winner in Boston the other night. It was cool to see. I'm a fan. Going to continue to play him, especially at reasonable ownership.
I was rooting for overtime, so it was not cool to see, but he still had a really good game.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so he's finally surpassed Sengun as the best player on the Rockets, apparently, according to the model. Way higher value, just 0.1 higher OF index. But Sengun, 16% against Atlanta. What do you think about that?
I don't mind him. Again, small slate. I think if you're going for a bit more of a balanced build, he's someone you can get in there with a couple other guys in that price range. I much prefer Thompson, though.
Yeah.
Again, his usage is kind of skyrocketed. Sengun's is not where it was last season when he was spiking upside. So, yeah, it's mostly Thompson for me here. And then after him, it's probably Green ahead of Sengun if I'm kind of ranking them in terms of upside right now, at least in terms of point per dollar. So, yeah, I do like him on a 4 game slate. I think anyone with 50-point upside at low ownership has to have some appeal. But for me, he's not a priority or anything like that.
Sengun?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned Jalen Green because points per dollar, he actually is the highest value on this team on
Mhm.
DraftKings, just barely edges out Almond. But on FanDuel, he's clearly the highest value, edging out Fred VanVleet, Dylan Brooks, and Almond's number 4 over there. He's a little more expensive. But Jalen Green at this ownership, if you can get away from Almond somehow, I think this is a terrific pivot. But I'm very happy to play both of them in the same lineup, even mixing in like Fred VanVleet. And then Dylan Brooks' ownership is super inflated because of what he did yesterday. So that's going to be a little tougher to get to.
Yeah, I don't know if we have enough data on Thompson yet. It seems like he's good to go, play 40 minutes in back to backs. It's not going to matter. But
Yeah.
there is kind of a pattern with Green. Like he's usually capped around 30 in one half of the back to back, and he only played 29 last night. So I like that we have him up around 36. I like that we're aggressive on his projection because I think he's going to run as much as he can here. And it's a great matchup, too.
Yeah, we're more aggressive than the rest of the industry on Jalen Green, so that's a
We
spot that the
should.
model's identifying. 11.4 OF index at his price is really strong too, because I mean, if we're just looking at the top overall plays on the day, like remember, OF index is not price sensitive. So this, like, if you're using traditional projection systems, it's not a perfect analogy, but this is saying if salary wasn't a thing, Jalen Green's a better play than Steph, Tyrese Maxey, which sounds insane, but the model's been pretty good about that, and it's going to be wrong sometimes, but.
Mhm.
Or I should say it's not going to be wrong, but it's not going to work out sometimes. But when it does, you get things like a 13% owned Jalen Green versus these guys coming in much higher.
Yep.
Someone asked about Cam Whitmore. Were we considering him? What's the other guy? Tari Eason filled in yesterday, played a few minutes. I don't mind Cam Whitmore. I was getting to him as value.
Yeah, Eason's out tonight, isn't he?
Oh, did he get ruled out? Oh, he did get ruled out. I missed that one. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. So
Yeah.
yeah, we really like Cam Whitmore.
Yeah, I mean, last I checked, Whitmore was questionable, so we're gonna have to just get confirmation that he's in. But yeah, he's someone who's gonna benefit with those extra minutes. He's tough because his rotations are super inconsistent, but we have seen him play as many as 27 minutes with Eason out. I like him. This guy usually demands a ton of usage when he is on the floor. Houston's just been drafting so well. Some of the young guys they have on this team continue to impress me, and Whitmore is one of them. I'm fine getting to him. I like him as kind of a tournament play, though. I wouldn't be playing him in cash again just because of the volatile minutes. Really tough to project what he's going to get for a run here. But yeah, Whitmore will be in one of my handful of lineups tonight for sure.
Did you have any interest in Jock Landale with Steven Adams out tonight?
I do not know. And again, I just don't think you necessarily need to run a ton of backup center minutes. It's like Adams plays what 15 a game anyway. Like I don't know. I don't need that tonight necessarily. Again, Atlanta's pretty big. They're not that big. Landau could play 15 minutes. He's probably not going to hurt you if you
We
don't
have
have him.
So players only show up in the model if we have him projected for 10 plus minutes. We don't have Jock projected for 10 minutes. He's probably at like 7 or 8. If you're a member
Yeah.
of Occupy and you want to see exactly, you can open up the lineup builder and it'll show everybody on the roster, even if they're projected for less than 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Jayshawn Tate or Aaron Holiday as deep shot punts.
I would just play Whitmore over both of them. I can't play Aaron Holiday. I guess it would be like if I'm picking one because I have to. I don't like either. I would just try to find a few extra for Cam Whitmore, and if I want to be really weird, I guess I would go Jeff Green over both of them as well. He's played 20 minutes in back-to-back games. Actually, no, this is not true. His game log shows 20 minutes in back-to-back games. He hasn't been in the rotation. Just leave all of them out of your player pool, in my opinion. Just play some Cam Whitmore off the bench. No Holiday, no Green, no Tate. I don't have interest in any of them. I'm curious if you do though, because yeah,
I'm biased towards Aaron Holiday because he's won me a good GPP before. Today, no. But Jayshawn Tate, I have 2% in my exposures. I don't have him projected well. This is just a play that makes lineups work, I guess. But if he puts up the 20, I mean, yeah, you can probably just skip this, though. I might not even end up with that.
yeah, it's like even if a guy's mid price, I want to know they can get me 20 fantasy points. And like
Yeah.
this is not an exact science, but you go through what these guys have done all year. Like I don't know that either's gotten 20 even once. So just not like I'm willing to take risks all the time, but it's not a risk on something that I've never seen happen before. So
Well, Tate got 20 once, but to your point, you don't want to you don't want to play a guy hoping he's going to put up 20. You play a min price guy hoping he's going to put up 30.
yes,
If you're
absolutely
thinking about it that way.
right.
On the other side of this game, Atlanta, we got some players back today. It looks like Trae Young is good to go, and
Daniels.
Daniels and Larry Nance are both good to go. So completely different from yesterday. Ricochet's ruled out. Bogdanovich, that was so frustrating yesterday. My best lineup had a 0 from Bogdanovich. I wanted to cry, but he's ruled out. Jalen Johnson's out, and Kobe Buffkin's out. So Yeah, what are you looking at here on Atlanta? Super interesting that Dyson has the same OF index as Trey.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. I mean, Daniels has been playing really well, though. He's actually taking as many, if not more, shots than Trey in most matchups. Trey's going to get the Dylan Brooks treatment tonight. Not that it's something he can't shake, but it does make me kind of prefer Daniels for the discount. Again, there's a lot of good guards. I keep beating the drum of Maxey is probably my favorite pay up there. Curry looks really good late too. So it's not a lot of Trey for me tonight. I do like Daniels because you have the shooting guard eligibility. Okongwu is definitely my favorite Hawk, though. Again, he's been starting. His minutes are even more secure with Johnson out. I know Capella's back and seeing decent run. He's actually been better off the bench, but yeah, Okongwu's the guy here. I think I'm going to continue to play him until he's over 7K.
Nice. I like it.
And
We're
that's on
pretty
DK. Yeah, on FanDuel he is over 7K, but he's got power forward. I like him over there as well.
we're pretty aggressive on his minutes today. We're at least, I believe, at least 2 minutes over the rest of the industry or most of the industry. So that's a spot that the model likes, especially on DK, even with the center only eligible.
Yeah.
There's something in here. What are our minutes on Nance with Ricochet out? Do you think Nance starts again?
I do.
If that's the
At the same
case, the
time,
14's too low.
yeah, I think he gets 20, but
These minutes are
again,
still
like,
adjusting. These aren't right.
yeah, these are still adjusting.
Here we
Roddy's
go.
available, right?
I didn't see anything about Roddy, so he should be in. Yeah, we have him. Okay, these minutes look much better now. Yeah, Larry Nance up to 15 minutes. If he starts, that's still low.
Yeah, and again, I mean, he played 20 and did nothing, which is certainly something that could happen again. They upped his price too. Like, if he was min price, I'd have a lot more interest. But yeah, you can play Nance and project him for around 20. It's just he's still going to have a wide range of outcomes, even with minutes.
It looks like we pulled back on our Kongwu projection too. He just lost almost 3 minutes, so we're in line with the rest of the
Uh,
industry now. Still like him though, even though
yeah, I
the
still like him.
values, whatever OF indexes, whatever. I still think he's good ownership. He had a terrible game yesterday, but he didn't have a teammate to play with. He only had DeAndre to help him.
Yeah.
DeAndre Hunter, 57, 5,800. I don't know that he'd have this ownership if he didn't play well yesterday, but at 30 projected minutes, I don't hate it on a 4 gamer.
Yeah, I mean, I still think he's a little bit underpriced. I do think he's a little bit overowned, but definitely feel good about him even coming off the bench. He's continued to see plenty of usage there, and with Bogdan out, could see even more usage with that second unit. Kind of tough to project second unit usage, but I do like him a lot coming off the bench. Probably my favorite bench play for the Hawks.
And the model did adjust because it was weird with Dyson being the same as Trey. Trey's higher, but Dyson 10.0, maybe it's still adjusting. 34 minutes sounds more reasonable than maybe whatever we had for him a couple minutes ago. But at this ownership, Dyson Daniels, I think we have to take shots on 4 gamers like this.
Yeah, like I said, I think it's easier to get to him tonight just because of the quality. We have a good point guard, so I'm with it.
Nice. Yabu versus LeBron narrative, huh? It's an interesting one.
Is that a narrative? Back to the
Uh,
Boston days, or is that an international thing? I don't know. Usually, I know all the narratives. I'm surprised this one's not ringing a bell for me.
you put a bunch of money on Yabusele, you're going to have to go out and Yabusele, yay.
Nice.
I don't know if I'm going to read this one out loud, but thanks for letting me know, Power. I have no idea.
No, amazing.
This guy, you got the jokes, dude. Don't like DFS either, huh? Whitmore, E. Gordon, or Pods. It's probably going to be Whitmore, and then maybe Eric Gordon is the pivot.
I mean, in a way, I like all three tonight. I'd rank Gordon third, I think, even though his
Nice.
minutes are probably the safest. But Pods
Okay.
has looked good, man. I think he's kind of rejuvenated. Like, spent a lot of time off. They're still pretty thin. They're missing Kuminga, Draymond, and I know that, like, I don't know. He's not the first guy to come off the bench in terms of depth, but yeah, he's firing again, and it's a great matchup against the Jazz. Who's to say he couldn't get fourth quarter run too if that game were to blow out? So I like Pods a lot. Probably more than I should, but I'd rank Gordon third there. I do like Whitmore a lot as well.
Interesting. Nice. Power's with you on the Svi. That's his pivot for council on FanDuel. I'm getting Svi over on FanDuel too. I
Nice.
probably need to bump him, but I'm with it now. Jalen Green's going to see Dyson Daniels. I get that. Yeah, Dyson Daniels is a good defender. I feel like he's better at playing the passing lane, so people give him a little bit more credit man to man
Yeah.
than he deserves. But also, this is why I don't look at defense first position. He's not going to guard Jalen Green on every single possession. Switches happen, pick and rolls happen, broken plays, fast breaks. And so, yeah, it's something to consider, but I'm still going to look at Jalen Green the same way. I'm not docking him even a little bit. If anything, it's already factored in the model, Atlanta's defense.
Absolutely.
Who gets the minutes with Steven Adams out? It is probably Jock Landale, and he probably should be projected for more than 10 minutes. We'll see if the model updates by the end of the show.
Yeah,
But
it'll be Jock, but it's not like Adams is playing a ton of minutes every night.
do we like Giannis more than AD? Nick does. I think I'm on AD, but the model has Giannis way higher than anybody else today.
Yeah, just whenever I get Giannis in a relatively competitive game, like he's gonna be one of my favorite payups unless Jokic is on the slate. And I think this game looks really good, and Aiton is gonna kind of shrink here. I think in this matchup as we've seen a few times. So I really do like Giannis. Just trying to pull up game logs. I know they played recently. Yeah, he didn't do that well, but it's not scaring me off. I'm not going to look at a one game sample and make any hot take. So, yeah, I love Giannis here. I think you should crush.
Just real quick for the Lakers, everyone's in normal starting lineup with Max Christie and Rui in there, and then Yabu is good to go.
Nice.
What was I going to say? All right, we'll just go to the next one. Oh yeah, that was the dummy. I was trying to pre-build it so we didn't run out of time today, and I tried to fit Giannis and AD with my favorite play in
Ooh,
Steve. So we'll see if we can somehow make this work. I don't think so.
yeah. And again, I will say this. I mean, the discount on DK for AD makes me like AD more over there. On FanDuel, where they're only 500 different, I'd just rather
Yep.
play Giannis.
Yep. That's a big point. So it's like relative. AD's ownership is too low on FanDuel. If this is correct on DraftKings, I think it's too low on both sides though.
Yeah, for sure.
Do we get a random Giannis scratch? I mean, if we do, we do. Not something we're
Don't even
gonna
put that in the air,
predict.
Sword. I don't
Yeah,
even want
that's.
to think about that.
I
No.
shouldn't have even read that. My bad.
No, they're on the road. They need to win games. They're not going to scratch you out this year.
For single entry, would you pair AD with Bucks 34 or Bucks 34 and Dame?
Wait, what?
I don't know what this question's asking.
A single entry pair AD. Oh, he's saying Giannis. He's describing his Bucks 34.
Oh, I don't mind it as long as you're not forcing in bad value. If you're forcing in bad value, no.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to be stars and scrubs. Almost everything else in your lineup is going to be like 4K or worse. So as long as you like those plays that are cheap, then yeah, go for it, man. I think that's been some of my best slates this year. Or I know I just butchered the tensing of that sentence, but some of my better slates this year have been going stars and scrubs when the field isn't. If you could find value that's going to get you there, I mean, yeah, I lock in the two best OF index plays on the slate.
LeBron side is more appealing after getting postered. LeBron didn't get postered. Who did LeBron? Did he dunk
I
on
don't,
Yabu or something last week? Is that what the thing is?
I don't even know. I can't keep up with that type of stuff. Like usually, some of these guys actually hate each other. If guys get dunked on, I mean that happens. That's part of the game.
Any interest in Connect? He's deep. He's really deep, even on a 4-gamer. Maybe on the showdown if you're playing a Lakers showdown.
Yeah, one of my biggest L's this season was I very firmly said I thought that Connect would be starting over Christie by Christmas, and
Me too.
that didn't come true at all. And yeah, Christie's been playing a lot better than I thought he would. And Connect's still a talented kid. He's just not as involved as we hoped he'd be.
I thought this was going to turn into some joke about someone, but that's terrible if that happened to you.
Damn, Big J. Yeah, that sucks.
Sorry to hear that, man. I've been there. I know what that feels like. Not great.
Didn't that happen to you on stream last year, or like while you were?
Yeah, someone broke into my house during a stream last year. I came out and I heard noises. I thought it was the dogs, dude. And the dogs were like sitting up with one of the hallway doors closed that's never closed. And I hear these guys. I call my roommate, like, hey, is there a plumber here or something? He's like, no. I'm like, oh, shit. And then,
That sucks.
yeah, they're never coming back here, but it's just unfortunate. I live in a really good neighborhood. But on to Milwaukee. So we know we love Giannis. Dame looks fine at the price and the ownership. I mean, DraftKings is a little bit high at 34%, but the model really likes him. Value's okay. And then I'm not looking at too much else on the Bucks. I think they're GPP plays, but what else do you want to do with these guys?
Again, as someone who's playing like a handful of single entry lineups, I actually think getting Dame into your non-Giannis lineups makes a lot of sense here. Obviously, there's the narrative him playing in Portland, but this might be his best three-game stretch of the season, and these are all games where Giannis was in and available. Dame's still getting over 30% usage, taking a ton of threes, but he's been getting to the foul line more, which is very important. Also, the assist numbers have gone up for him. Dame playing the best basketball he has been all season. I don't know if part of that is that Portis is banged up or what. I don't really think any of those things necessarily matter, but getting him in quality form before the price comes up, probably a good thing. So, like I said, I love Giannis tonight, going to continue to beat that drum. But in my lineups without Giannis, I think a low on Dame, especially on FanDuel, makes a lot of sense. I mean, he's way more expensive on FanDuel. That's why he's low on, but I like him on both sides for sure.
Yeah, I do too. And I mean, the model's just telling us, even with this price, the value scores are pretty solid considering. So I think we just want to play a lot of Giannis. I'm way over on Dame, actually, over on DraftKings. Not way over, but
Like,
I have more than 34, which seems like a lot.
yeah, I mean,
Um,
at the price, he looks good.
I guess my GPP shot here is Gary Trent. I have 4% on DK, projected for 10. So I guess I'm a little bit under the field. Model's telling us we can fade single digit value.
Yeah, I mean, he's someone who should see a little bit of extra usage with the second unit with Portis out. But if you want to talk about Dame revenge, I mean, Gary Trent comes from Portland too.
Hey, I didn't even remember that. I remember
It
Toronto.
doesn't
That's
really
it.
matter. Yeah, I'm half joking, but yeah, I don't mind Trent
Models identifying Torian. Why is Torian Prince projected for 31 minutes?
because he's been playing 31 minutes every night.
Oh man, what it's like to have Darvin Ham on your coaching staff, man. Yeah, Bennett's been there the last couple of games. It's still kind of extreme to project him for 31 minutes, but even if we took away 2 minutes, these value scores are still going to look really good. I have a few percent. I didn't look at him as like one of the top values of the day, though. Were you?
I mean, no, and like I'm usually someone who just never plays Torian Prince, even on like a two-game slate. Like, but if his ownership stays at 10% on DK, I am heavier on DK tonight. I do just want to mention that. Then I do want to get him in a few lineups. I think again, he's just been shooting pretty well. They do like his defense, which has kind of given him extra minutes lately. So I don't mind it. It's just not the type of play I'm ever excited to get to.
I'm going to throw him into the dummy for now. And it's like, so these plays, he's showing up near the top of value, low percent. Don't jam him in. Play more than
No,
this
no, no,
if you're comfortable with it, but don't play like 40-50% Torian Prince. I don't think that's a good move.
absolutely not.
Anything else on Milwaukee? Brick Lopez, decent value score, and Andre Jackson. That's another punt.
Yeah, Brolo, I'm always fine getting to. Again, I don't know that I want to use center spots for him tonight, but
Uh-huh.
he's always under owned. He always has 40-point upside. Yeah, he's fine to mix in. I don't think that I get there. It's mostly just Dame Giannis, and I guess Torian Prince a little bit for me. But yeah, Brolo's not crazy.
And I guess we didn't mention it, but Bobby Portis is out, but he has not been playing that many minutes. So it's really not that many
Yeah.
minutes to redistribute. It's probably why Torian is projected for what he is. Andre Jackson.
Yeah,
Any
they're
other
not
guy?
going deeper. Yeah, yeah. I mean, they're not going deeper on the bench, but it does create a lot of usage for these second unit guys like a Trent, maybe like a Prince when he's not on the floor with Giannis, because Portis, when he is on the floor, his usage is through the roof usually.
Yeah. And AJ Green's also out. So maybe a little bit more for the bench, like Nick said. Chris
Yeah.
Middleton, I don't know. 25
Yeah.
minutes. It's a 4 game slate. If he shows up, I'm okay with it. I have 0% as it is right now on DK, though.
Yeah, I mean, 5,400, he could probably make value for you as a last piece in, but I don't know. I think there's cheaper plays with more upside.
Let's see. Let's go to the other side, Portland here. We're waiting on Aiden news, or we got the Aiden news.
Let me double check.
He was Q.
I think he's still Q.
We might not get this news until late since this game starts 10 Eastern. So I think we should talk about him as if he's in at first, since the model has him in. Model doesn't love anyone here. Maybe Denny looks pretty good, 9.3 off index, decent value at the price. I like him as a GPP play. That's probably my favorite spot.
Yeah, I like Denny. I mean, you could always play Simons at his price. We
Yeah.
haven't seen that ceiling as frequently from him this season, but we do know that he's capable of it. Jeremy Grant's going to start again. I don't have much interest in him, but he's cheap enough, kind of similar to maybe a Middleton. Like last piece in, it's not crazy. The big thing here is if Aiton's out, Klingon would become very appealing, or Robert Williams, I guess, depending on who's starting. Not a good matchup for opposing centers, but on a slate where we're kind of liking the value, could like it a little more. That could be a huge piece of news that breaks later.
Yeah, yeah, that's a spot. It's gonna be tough to set that up. Are you doing anything like specific to set up for that or to prepare?
I mean, I have a ton of Giannis, who's in the late game. I do have a lot of this Utah value, so obviously just make sure that you have a few spots to kind of move around with. Like I could very easily, if I have in utility, say some Svi, turn that into a Klingon, something like that. I mean, there's enough good value, I think, even in Golden State. I mentioned pods earlier. Some of these guys, just make sure you have enough salary to maybe upgrade one of those guys to Williams or Klingon if that situation were to kind of unfold that way. On FanDuel, I don't know that I would really want to use the center spot for either of these guys anyway. If they're both healthy, even if Aiton's out, they're both going to be capped around 24 minutes. Does Williams still have power forward eligibility? He used to on FanDuel. I don't
On
think he's in the model until Aiton gets ruled out if he were to be ruled out. But yeah, I think it's more of a DK thing. Just keep your utility spot open going into the 10 o'clock window.
he does have power forward eligibility on FanDuel, Robert Williams. I'm
Yeah,
with
so
that. Yeah. With Aiton, we haven't project like we're very aggressive on his minutes today. Few minutes ahead of the rest of the industry. I initially wanted to kind of fade him because I think with two backup centers, it's really easy for him to get benched tonight. But if no one's going to take the shot, I'll take the shot.
yeah, I mean, shouts out to Douche in our Discord. That's the name he goes by. I'm not calling him a douche. He always talks about how Aiton tends to only like play full minutes against really good bigs and tough front courts. I mean, that's kind of what we're getting here. Lately, we have seen Aiton just kind of disappear regardless at times. But coming off two good games, he did play 34 minutes the last time these two teams played. He's a fine play. It's just, I don't know, never something I'm excited to get to where he's priced above 6K.
In terms of value on this team, no one stands out, but Nate, Aiton, Simons, Avdia are fine. Tumani Kamara's lower than I'd like to see, but I still don't mind it. At 6%, I'm taking shots on DraftKings, and then FanDuel, he fits in at 5,300. And over on FanDuel, kind of same thing. Tumani's actually, at the highest value on FanDuel from this team. Simon still looks good. Aiton, Jeremy Grant, and then Avdia over there.
Yeah, just to kind of ramble on Kamara for a little bit. So Grant was out for a while. Kamara was playing the four, or Denny was playing the four, whichever way you want to kind of swing that. But we were seeing Shady on Smart starting next to Simons. I think Denny played so well during those games that Grant were out that they realized they can't take him out of the starting lineup. And what's that done? What that has done is it's kept Grant at the four and moved Kamara into the shooting guard role now, where he's actually seeing more shots. His usage has gone up, and he's just more involved on offense. So you're still going to need the shots to fall. But Kamara's upside is better than it was when he was playing forward. I actually like this move a lot for him. It definitely hurts Shady on Sharp, though, coming off the bench, but it's not like we're talking about playing him anyway. So I do like the Kamara play. I don't mind him at all.
I love it. And like other guys on this team, we might have a fear that they could get benched. I don't think Kamara at this point can do anything to get benched. He's their best defensive player, if you maybe Aiden, but he's elite defensively, and he just everything else he's going to stay on the court. So I like that call a lot. I'm actually going to bump him an extra couple minutes now because you said that.
Yeah, he's being used as a spacer on offense now. He made 5 threes last game. Not that that's something we're going to expect. But yeah, I mean, you got Denny, who's kind of a facilitator. Grant more in the paint than certainly Kamara would have to be if Grant wasn't available.
Just the fact that he can, has the opportunity to make 5 threes, meaning he took at least 5 threes, is pretty significant, I think.
Oh, yeah, totally agree.
I saw a comment. I can't believe we haven't hit on Eubanks. Well, we haven't gotten to the Jazz yet.
Yeah, man, game by game, Jose, you know that.
Drew Eubanks, what is he showing up? Strong DK value. Got ejected last game because Zach Edey was being who
Mean.
bullied who? Yeah, I don't know. Like Zach Edey's just a big boy, dude. He bumped the crap out of Drew. Drew came back down. You saw the clip. Drew came back down and like checked him hard. And Edey was like, "What was that?" Didn't even affect him, dude. But maybe he's extra fired up tonight. He is chalk on DraftKings, center only 4,100, projected for 24 minutes. We don't have Kessler. We don't have Collins. We don't have our boy Markkinen. This is the spot tonight. I started with Eubanks because he's the highest owned, but how do you like him? And then what are we doing with the rest of the team here?
Yeah, man, Eubanks, I do like. I do think he probably plays 24 plus minutes here. So, yeah, I think he's a really solid play. And yeah, I talked about how I think the most wrong I was so far this season was on Max Christie. I know we're coming up on the All Star break in a couple of weeks, starting to reflect a little. I thought Edie was going to be pretty soft in the league, and he is not, dude. And
Oh,
these
yeah.
kids are testing him, man. And that's what that was. Drew was saying, "Hey, Rook, what's up?" And he said, "What? What are you going to do, buddy?" I don't know, not the best role playing here by me, but I do like Eubanks as a play a lot tonight. I mentioned Collier. I think he is going to be starting here, even with Keontae George available. I expect George to come off the bench. Regardless, I do like Collier here at his price. I just think he's too cheap for what he's capable of. Probably plays around 30 minutes. Svi, super scoring dependent, but he's taking a ton of shots, and we obviously love to see that from him. Definitely fine getting to Svi, especially if he's not going to be as popular as some of these other guys. No interest in Potter. Do just want to mention that. Sexton's fine, but where he's priced, it's tough for him to really spike a crazy upside. So I'm going to be under on Sexton, over on Collier's fee. Eubanks is a pretty damn good value play as well, though. Oh, and then one more. I don't mind a little bit of Sensible. I wish he was a little bit cheaper, but he's someone I'll mix in.
So we gave Svi 25 minutes. He's only played above 25 minutes a couple times this season. So maybe it's a little aggressive, but they are missing a lot of players. Maybe he doesn't have the potential to play much more, but at 25 minutes, he's the top value on both sides today. So
Yeah.
like Svi, the ownership's probably a little bit low if this is the case. Like I said, I don't know if he has potential to play much more, but if he gets up to like 27, 28, I mean, this is just going to be even better.
Yeah, three of his last four games, he's averaging around 25, 24, 26, 28. They got blown out, I think, by OKC. He only played 16 there. But yeah, I think we got the projection right.
And in terms of the other guys, I mean, Isaiah Collier, I mean, he's third only to Torian Prince. We have Drew Eubanks pretty close to the top of value here. Very popular for the 24 minutes. We'll take a look at that. I mean, it's a big spread, but I don't think that matters for the Utah side because the bodies need to, they need someone out there playing, maybe like Sexton and Keontae George. It matters a little bit more. The other guys, I don't think so.
Yeah, and I already mentioned I don't love the Sexton play.
Nope.
All these guys should be fine either way, so I like him a lot.
I don't.
Um,
I don't mind Sexton on FanDuel 6,300. The 7K on
that's
DraftKings, I
fair.
think we have enough value to not touch that.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm usually like more FanDuel. The past couple of weeks I've been playing more on DK, so I appreciate you correcting me on that. Definitely a better play over there.
Yeah, FanDuel, it's like I'm playing both sides today. I usually don't, but we had the extra half hour. But
Yeah,
FanDuel
it's beautiful.
satellites are just overlaying every day, and it's free money if you're hitting the satellites, like the $1 to 150 tickets, dude. Like, I think that contest is tomorrow, so I'll only be on FanDuel tomorrow. But highly recommend to check that out, guys. Kyle Filipowski, did you mention
Last
him?
piece in. Yeah, I didn't mention him. I almost mentioned him. I think he's fine as like a last piece in. I just don't trust the minutes. Like I said, I'd rather find a few extra for Sensabaugh, just knowing what he's capable of. We've seen Sensabaugh in the closing lineup at times, and he tends to have around 25+% usage when he's on the floor. So he checks more boxes than a Filipowski does for me. But I mean, you're getting him at a discount, so I don't think it's crazy to go with either.
I legit never heard of this guy, Elijah Harkless, when he was showing up in my. So I had to give him minutes, right? We haven't projected for 16.
He went off against Memphis, but I think that was because Eubanks got ejected. Actually, no, that definitely wasn't. He's a point guard. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to pretend I know who Elijah Harkless is. Yeah, don't think I'll get there tonight. Again, they're thin, but they're not as thin at guard. They do have George, Sexton, Collier all available.
I imagine he's the brother of Mo Harkless, but I don't
I
know.
mean, I was about to look that up actually, but yeah, uh, wouldn't surprise me at all.
In terms of like how many Utah guys we're having in our lineups, like there's not a lot to swap with, so I don't think it's super important to get these from the last game. But do you have any like restrictions? Like I don't think I want to do like max 3 or max 4, but maybe group it out. Maybe put Collier, Sexton, Keontae George in a group or something like that. Drew Eubanks, Filipowski. I'm probably okay playing together actually.
Yeah, I think I'd only want one of Sexton or George. Other than that, I don't know that you really need to set groups. Like I said, I think Collier is fine regardless of how this game plays out. I am hoping he starts over George. I do expect him to, but that's something worth keeping an eye on. I'll still probably play Collier more than the other guards, even if he comes off the bench. But yeah, if it's George next to Sexton, I wouldn't want those two in the same lineup.
Okay, nice. And I will just mention Sexton 9.30 off index is pretty good at that price, especially for FanDuel. Collier 8.2 off index is really strong, even though he's pulling a bit of ownership. And honestly, everyone here, all these guys except for Keontae, look pretty good.
Yeah. No Michael Porter for you either. I think he starts. I don't want any.
Micah Potter, if he starts and no one wants to get there, I'll do it. But he really hurt my feelings last time. I don't think he played at all.
Yeah,
My team.
he's the white Tony Snow.
Golden State, a lot of guys. Look at how many guys are projected for minutes. This is insane, dude. We got a guy named Quentin Post in here now who's actually not terrible, who I'm getting exposure today. Steph at the top, I think, is always fine. Other than that, what are you looking at here?
Yeah, so Steph looks good at the top. Buddy, as long as he continues to start, is viable. I know he hasn't been shooting well, but he's okay. I mean, Wiggins is kind of the second tier in this offense. I don't mind getting to him. He is getting kind of expensive though. I do think Schroeder's better off the bench. Still don't want to play him at all. Like I said, I do think Paz is kind of interesting tonight. Probably only plays 22 to 26 minutes, but he's been super aggressive, just kind of because he needs to be. Before the injury, everyone was really down on him, but he's kind of come back, shot out of a cannon. I never mind getting to a little bit of Moody. I'd mix him in. But the kind of gross, sneaky play for me would actually be Guy Santos. I think with Kuminga and Draymond out, he is someone who comes off the bench before a lot of these other names we're going to be rattling off. So Guy Santos has been pretty solid. But like I said, I think Pods is my favorite kind of punt slash value from Golden State tonight off the bench. I just like what he's been doing when he is on the floor.
Someone said that last time. I don't think I read the comment. Like, what the hell is a Gui Santos? He had long hair last season, right? He kind of looked like Puka Nakua.
I think yeah, he had like the Keyshawn George cut, like the big puff.
If this guy
Um,
was the literal, one of these guys was a literal clone of Puka Nakua on the court. I can't remember if it was him or the other
it
guy.
might have been Guy. Yeah, I mean he's
Okay.
Brazilian. I know Puka's Samoan, but they share some blood. Maybe I don't know.
You're pretty comfortable with pods for the dummy.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely more of a tournament play.
Mhm.
I think in cash, I don't know that he'd be the guy we were using, but yeah, I do like him a lot here. I'm fine with it.
Moses Moody showing up as the top value here, projected for 23 minutes. It's just a question of, has he been getting 23 minutes?
He
Yeah.
carried me over the other night. Yeah, I don't know.
His
Moody might
ownership is
be the
modest
safer play. Yeah.
at 20. Yeah, I mean, because he looked like he has the potential to play a few more minutes now, even though they're running 11 deep. DK value strong, FanDuel value strong, uh,
Forward eligibility on DK as well.
which is pretty huge. Top FanDuel values are Wiggins and Buddy Hield. We like Wiggins, I think. 6,600 is fine. He fits in. Buddy Hield, I guess that's a GPP valued play.
Yeah, the minutes have been there. Again, he just hasn't been shooting the ball well. Eventually, he will, and you're going to want him. But do you want to chase him? I don't know that I do. Again, it kind of depends on your risk tolerance.
And then I'll mention Gary Payton. He's showing up with a really strong DK value. We only have him projected for 14 minutes at 3,200. It's kind of like, well, you give him 3 more minutes, he's going to look really good for value, but it's so little. 14-point spread. What do you think?
Eh, I don't know. I have trouble with Payton just because the minutes haven't been there, and it's not like he's some super point per minute producer when he is on the floor.
I have exposure to like 8 players on the Warriors. I don't to Gary Payton.
Yeah, I'm
I
fine
have,
with that.
I have Quentin Post before I have Gary Payton, man. Quentin Post pulling double-digit ownership is just bizarre because I don't think anyone in the world, for fantasy purposes, not to be disrespectful, but no one knew who this was last week.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't know that I get to him again, only playing a handful of lineups, but he's been involved. He's part of that rotation.
Steve Kerr specifically said he likes him, that they need to carve out a role for him in this offense. He's gotten there once in the 4 games he's really played in his career, but I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, to be fair, Kurt has said that about Waters. He said that
Yeah,
about Bonds. He said that
yeah,
about Moody. He says that about every young player to make them feel good. And it's taken me a while to kind of realize this. But yeah, I think right now he is someone you can kind of count on for 15 or so minutes. I would play him over, say, who's the Landale we were talking about earlier for sure. I definitely think he has more upside than someone like that. But like I said, I
nice.
think Guy Santos for a few hundred more, probably the better play if you're trying to look for something from that front court.
I'm not even sure we can begin to guess who's going to close here from the cheap guys if the game ends up being close. If the game is a blowout, yeah, we can probably expect those end of bench guys to play a little bit more, but we're really just
Yeah,
guessing.
yeah. I mean, Curry's obviously going to be closing. Wiggins is probably closing. It's the hot hand between Hield or Pods. Schroeder, maybe, if not Moody. I don't think anyone else is even really in the mix if it's a competitive game. But I don't know. Who knows? This bench is way too deep. Send more of these guys at the G League, please.
Of these four players, who do you think scores the most points? LeBron, Maxi, AD, Oubre. Is this like real life points, or is this for one of those like King of the Hill contests? What is this for? I don't even know how to answer
Ron,
this.
Maxi, AD,
It's
Oubre.
probably like if it's points, it's Maxi's going to have the highest line
Real
total in
points.
Vegas. Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean, fantasy points AD, real points Maxi. Oubre, I don't even see, like, it's one of these things is not like the other. We talked about
yeah.
these four. He's been hot, man. But yeah, I think it's Maxi if you're talking real points. If it's fantasy, it's AD.
Quentin post viable for cash? No,
No, not in cash.
no. If we're playing cash,
Eubanks is your value center if you need one in cash, I think.
oh, for a contest on Fanatics, yeah. Like I completely agree with Nick. Real life points Maxi, fantasy points AD.
Yeah, in
Um,
Londo, if you're trying to research that stuff in the future, maybe just look at a book and look at what their point prop is. Like, what are the books saying they're going to score? Like, if Maxi's is 28 and a half and Ubre's is 19 and a half, obviously, most books are saying it's going to be Maxi. It's not an exact science, but that's probably a good starting point for something like that.
Well, there's the game theory aspect of it too. If it's a peer to peer, where it's like, okay, well, 80% of the field's picking Maxi, he's not going to be the top scorer 80% of the time. Pick anyone else for leverage. But if it's just like a
Yeah,
pick for you, not against anyone else, then just pick Maxi.
yeah, if it's like that, like DK King of the Court thing, like I hit 400 in bonus bets on a $5 bet on
Ooh-wee.
Brunson because it was a slate that I think had Giannis and Jokic, and he ended up outscoring them. But again, you got to have DFS brain for some of that stuff. If it's like a Survivor where you have to get it right to advance, then just lean on projections.
For cash, I just sorted by ownership on DraftKings. You can probably, I feel like this fits in a lineup, maybe not Dame, sub in someone else down here, but you're pretty close there. And then for FanDuel, um, yeah, you're probably going to have to find a couple more of the value pieces in there. But who else I mean, for the dummy, can you see this on the screen so far?
Yeah, let me zoom in here. We got pods.
Yeah. How do we want
Yeah,
to
the AD Braun combo is tricky. Throw Whitmore in there if he's
let's
available.
throw, let's get Whitmore. Because I did see a question in the chat if they could play Maxi AD and Giannis Maxi AD. And I don't think so because we're already having a tough time playing these two with Amon Thompson, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we have 3,400. That's Quentin Post music. So shout out to Quentin Post.
There he is.
But what would you like swap around? Like we really like trying to fit these two in.
Probably not.
Let's
Like I
take
said, I think the better build is you pick one of Giannis or AD. I think I slightly prefer Giannis, but if we're going AD, you get Dame in there, and then we're able to upgrade a lot of this ugly value.
I like that. Yeah, gets to the let's see, Dame leaves us 6,400 for a power forward. I mean Yabu fits. Probably just upgrade someone else though.
Yeah, or move Giannis to power forward. Does AD not have power forward? That might be part of the
No, they
ownership
took it
difference.
away. Or we just
Yeah,
plug
that's why
Giannis.
it's even easier to go to Giannis too, because you have the forward eligibility. Um, Yeah, power forward's kind of barren tonight.
5,200.
More reason I think I'm getting to Giannis.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Rui, I don't mind Rui.
I like Rui as a little punt though. You agree with these top four values on DraftKings: Svi, Torian, Collier, and Moody?
I mean, Collier does not feel. Collier feels good. I mean, Torian does not feel right, but just trust the
No.
model. He's coming off two games where he's absolutely smashed, so it's probably fine. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm a little nervous about Svi as well. But the ownership isn't like super chalky, so it's probably okay.
Yeah, if these teams start trading threes, I mean, it's going to be Svi night. So I don't mind it.
We might get late news, we might not, but either way, I think you guys should sign up for occupyfantasy.com. We have plans starting at as little as $7 a week. It's $1 a day. It gets you access to the model, the plug for the sports we offer it for. It's pretty good value, one of the best in strategy when it comes to fantasy sports. Two last second questions, Nick, before we get out of here. Thoughts on Middleton and Van Vliet?
They're Middleton and Van Fleet both kind of priced where they should be. Fine as last pieces in. Not crazy about them, but I don't think you have to rebuild if they're in your lineups. They're fine.
Yeah, like Van Vliet's cheap on FanDuel. I get the ownership, still a little bit high though. And DraftKings, he's low owned even though he's expensive. So Jayhawk's going to be starting the Q&A in about 15 minutes. We have 45 minutes to lock, fellas. Appreciate you guys tuning in today. Hop into Discord. Instructions are in the description below. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
Great show. Take care, everyone.